Hello, and welcome to another podcast with me, Kathy, your host on Trumbull's Threads. So this is going to be another knitting craft, what I did this month, I guess. We'll call it What I Did This Month podcast. So yes, last time I went over like what I did for the last quarter-ish, maybe a little bit more. So this time it's what I did in the month of May. I guess it would have been a third last time. Whatever. You get the idea. So what I did in May. And it's not nearly as much as what I did for the first 3 months of the year because slight time difference. Slight. So we'll go through all the different crafts that I have started, completed, and are in progress, or at least that I've worked on this month. I'm not going to go through all the things that I have in progress because, as I have said before, there are many of those. Some of which I've lost pieces of, which I need to go find so that I can finish them. Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to go through what I've bought this month, because I don't actually remember everything that I bought this month. Yeah, there's that. So, we'll just go through like what things I've been working on in my various and sundry different crafts. Okay, so first things first, let's start with non-fiber craft stuff. So, I have 2 watercolor things that I finished this last month. One, I did my first like flower focused only watercolor, and I think it turned out pretty good. I really like how it looks. I followed instructions, so that helps a lot. But I did a couple of things differently. The background obviously is all me, and then I did the calligraphy down here for what it actually is, since it is a daffodil. And I do have some others that I plan on doing. I got suggestions from people around me for what my next flower should be. Flowers. So we will have to start some of those at some point. But that's not actually my works in progress one. I will grab that out maybe. And then this is the second one, the verse that I did. We got Jeremiah 17:14. And I like how this one turned out. So I wanted like the action words to really stand out, so I did them in a different font. And I really like how it turned out. I think it turned out really nice, and I like kind of the ombre color of the background where it gets darker up to the top. So yes, those were the 2 watercolors that I have finished. I have 1 watercolor that is in progress. Let me go grab that real fast. I will be out of the screen and then come back. So, do-do-do. See? Giant watercolor. So I have the background done, and I don't know if I have the verses that I'm gonna do on it. And I'm back. And that's what's going on there. Yeah, this will be fun. It'll be similar to that one in the background, although there's more words in the one that I'm doing now than are on that one, and that one was a pain to do. Just because it's so big that it doesn't really fit on my table in order to work on it, so I had to work on it on the ground, which meant lots of like on my knees going through and getting the words spacing right and everything. I really do like how that one turned out though, so I'm excited about this one. It's going to be Isaiah 53, the whole entire chapter. So I'm excited to work on it, but I'm also like, it's gonna be so hard to do because I'm gonna have to clear out a space and then like do a bunch of just plain getting lines down so that I know where I'm supposed to be doing all these things, and then spacing words. The initial lines really aren't the hard part. It's the spacing the words after, because spacing words is hard. So yes, that's my next big watercolor project. So the background is done. I have the words and kind of an idea of how I want to do them. Now it's just actually starting to get it on the paper. So that covers all watercolor things for me. The next thing that I've been working on, that I worked on this month, is something that I started a while back, but I didn't have exactly everything that I really wanted to do it. So it ended up being a pain to work on. So it went into my get some stuff and then work on it again. So I eventually got some stuff and started working on it again. So let's see. You can see what I've gotten done on this. So this is also going to be a verse, but instead of calligraphy and watercolor, I'm doing it on a copper sheet and basically trying to emboss it. So I've got, like, you can see some of what, so I did on tracing paper. I wrote out the verse that I wanted, and then kind of some scenery in the background. And now I'm going through and I'm basically using a hammer and a flat thing, chisel, and a round little ball to make the shapes come out. So because I was embossing it, I decided to also add in the Braille version for the verse. So I have like the actual verse that I am going to eventually get in that side. And then I have the Braille version of it over here. At least I think it's the Braille version. It's the best that I could do in terms of like actually translating it. I'm not blind. I don't actually read Braille. I don't know anyone who does read Braille, but I did go through basically online and found the alphabet equivalents and basically followed the rules as best I knew how from what I could find online to translate it from English to Braille. So hopefully it's right. We'll, I guess, eventually find out. Maybe someone... Yes, if there's someone who knows Braille and is seeing and is watching this, you may end up having to correct me at some point. But that is what I was trying to do. That way I can, like, because I enjoy watercolors and I enjoy doing that, but I also wanted to, like, I realized that some people can't see the things that I have done. So giving them potentially another way of, like, interacting with my stuff eventually, I thought would be kind of fun and a new challenge for me. And although not perfect, I do have a couple of places where I accidentally went through the copper sheet, so I'm not sure how safe this would necessarily be for someone to actually like feel it, because you would be able to like feel the scenery in the back and then actually feel the verse in Braille and then feel the verse over here, like the actual letters. So it does give it a kind of different texture, and then I'm hoping to use like some flame to create some different colors in the background of it, and then like shoe polish, I guess, to basically make the dents in the background like really show up. But future plan, worked on it this month, so it got put into the works in progress part of this month. Yeah, need to work on it more. Needs to get done. It's been in the works for a little while. So that gets done with all of the non-fiber art stuff that I've done this month. Yes. So going on to the fiber art stuff. So the first thing that I did this month was I made another washcloth, because as I was going through and starting to think about editing the videos on like how to knit, all of the like close-ups and stuff that I had taken were out of focus. So it's really kind of hard to be like, you should put your needle in this way and wrap it and everything if people can't actually see what you're doing. Yeah. So knit a totally new washcloth as an example of how to do all of the things that I talked about in the previous videos. So now I have another knitted washcloth in the month of May, and a bunch of videos that need to be put into instructional video, and in 2 instructional videos. That's the plan. One that kind of does cast on, how to knit, how to purl, and then how to switch between knitting and purling, and then how to bind off. And then I think a quick little thing about kind of weaving in ends at the very end. So give you kind of a real quick basic on how to knit, and then I need to actually write up this pattern so that people can, if they want to make this exact particular washcloth, they will have instructions to make it. It's really not that hard. So that was the first thing that got finished this month, because I started actually at the beginning of the month. And yeah, things happened. I haven't worked on it since. So I have another completed item this month. I finished that top that I was working on. So here is my cotton top. I actually really do like it. It's neat construction. The back, you can see the back wings essentially cross over the back. So it's a really neat construction. I really enjoyed the knitting process of it. Things that I would do differently, I might make my arm, I might make the shoulder strips just a little bit longer if I were to do it again, because I think I made them a touch too short. So I like my armholes to be higher up than a lot of the patterns in this book have made their armholes. Like, they seem to like them way down here. Like, I guess they're thinking basically converting a sweater into a tank or a no sleeve shirt, and so they make their armholes like really far down, which is a problem for me, because like if you start low enough already, like under things start showing very quickly. And then knitting is heavy, so it pulls down. So even if it starts up here at the beginning of the day, it's usually down here by the end of the day, so it moves. And I don't like that. And so like all of their armholes, I think I'm gonna end up editing as I continue to knit through this book and create more of their patterns. I think I'm gonna be end up editing a lot of like how they do their armholes, because like they're just too low to start with, and then like as the day gets on, they're gonna get even lower. So I made this one a little too short. End all be all. I made that one a little too short, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to actually get in because of the construction as well, because it's like the neck hole and the armholes are kind of connected because of how the fabric is. So in order to get it on, etc., I have to get my head through first before trying to get my arms through. That way, like, the holes are the right size to actually get everything through. Yeah. It's not my best. I did some editing, of course, on it. I added a trim on it because I was having a little bit of issues with the fabric curling a little bit too much. So blocking did help. blocking helped a lot, but I think also adding that extra weight at the end is going to help kind of keep it down as well. Other things about this one, I do need to find an undershirt for it, because although I do like the pattern, if you can't tell, although it's the correct weight of yarn, it's a very see-through or thin yarn. So it was the right weight, but a very thin, correct weight yarn. Unlike my Pima cotton, which was like really fluffy and behave like actually created pretty much something where you can't see through it. This is much more see-through. So if I wear it, I'm going to need to wear something under it, at least in professional settings. If I'm like running around my house, who cares? Which this may end up being an at-home kind of thing to put on. But yeah, if I ever want to wear this to work, it's gonna need an undershirt, because it's got holes. And I don't like that it has holes. But yeah, interesting construction. I might steal some of the ideas. We'll see. Okay, so that gets me through all of the things that I have finished this month in terms of knitting. I have 2 things that I have worked on this month in terms of knitting. So obviously I finished one of my shirts, so I immediately started the next one. And I like the yarn. It's been a really nice yarn to work with so far. I think I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. But it is black. It is black. It has pretty green, like, well, here, you can see the yarn. It has like this green stripe of sparkly stuff that goes through it. So that is fun. But it is black yarn. It is black yarn, which has meant that I have had to pay a lot more attention to this than I would otherwise have had to, because it's black yarn. So I can definitely feel the difference, and I have lovely stitch markers to tell me when I'm doing things. But it's kind of hard to work, like, it's hard to see. It's black yarn. Anyone who knits knows what I'm talking about when I say it's black yarn. And it's like really, really black yarn. So we'll see how the pattern, because it's supposed to have like a panel pattern on the side, the 2 sides, that'll come up around the neck. We'll see how it turns out. Hopefully it shows up nice, but it might be more of like a subtle detail than the really prominent stuff that you see on like a lighter yarn, since it's black. But I had the yarn. I need to use up the yarn that I have. And this seems like a good project for it. So project number 1 started. It's cast on. I've finished the bottom part of it. We're gonna start working on the pattern next on that. So that covers one of the 2 projects that I worked on this month. The other one I did show you in the last one, the mantilla stole. So I have been working on this one much more than I worked on the other one, because I took this one with me on my airplane ride, since takes a lot less yarn. It takes a lot less yarn. It was much more travel friendly than the other project that I have. So I don't remember if, I think I only had like that much done last time. And now I have more. There we go. All of that done for this. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, working on 8. So almost 8 out of the 14, I think, repeats that I'm supposed to be doing of this. Check my instructions. 14, yeah, 8 out of the 14. So it's getting close. It's getting real close. And I will say that this is kind of my first, I've done some lace knitting, but this is the first time where it's like all lace. So right now it's just very holy. But you can kind of see some of the like pattern that's sort of showing up in there, but I think it'll look really good once it's blocked. Yeah. Yep. We gotta block it. We're definitely gotta block this because it's not gonna show up otherwise. But it is actually fairly enjoyable knitting, surprisingly. I do have to pay a lot more attention to it than some of my other knitting because all of the yarn overs and knit two together, yarn over, slip one, knit one. Yeah, it's a fairly complicated pattern, but I am enjoying it. I don't know when I'll be done with it, but that'll be my second piece of the Knit Through the Decades thing, and then I'll have to work on my next piece. Hopefully it'll be summer knitting. I don't remember what I chose for that third piece, for the 2000 eras piece. But hopefully it'll be fine for summer knitting because it is becoming summer here. Which is why I have a lot more non-knitting projects kind of that I'm showing you, because it's getting hot here, like really hot and somewhat uncomfortable, like even inside. I don't want to go outside really right now, especially when there's like total sunlight, because it's just so hot outside. Unless I'm going somewhere where it's cold. So because of my environment, knitting has not been high on my priorities for like doing craft things. And also I had some other stuff going on. So that brings me to the next set of projects that I've started. So my sewing projects. I talked to you about the skirt that I was working on last time. It's still a work in progress. I added all of the lines for it. I just now need to sew it, I guess. Yeah, so sewing the mock-up, seeing how that mock-up fits me, and then doing the real thing. Still a lot of things to do for that. But speaking of sewing, I did some other sewing because I had somewhere where I was going to be. Some people had asked me to sew some things up for them before then, so I did the pieces that they wanted and a couple of extra just in case some other people saw them and wanted them. So let me show you the many pieces that I have made for like this last weekend. So this is what I have been making. So these are mantillas or veils. I sell them in my Etsy shop. If you look up Trimble's Threads, these should actually be going up probably before I finish editing this video. Let's be realistic. Putting up pictures is so much easier. So I have made so many. I think I made 21 of these in 2 weeks. 2 weeks or less. So yeah, all the different ones. It was kind of one of those things where I'm going to throw a shout out to Retro Claude on this one. She's probably not ever going to watch this, but hey, I will shout out to her because she talks in one of her videos about batching things together. So she does it because she has a health condition where it helps her with like being able to manage her time and stress and everything. And doing it that way actually makes her be able to do some of the stuff that she can do, which is very impressive stuff. But like she talks about going through and doing all of the sewing on certain things, as much of that as she can, instead of necessarily following patterns, because it makes it a lot easier for her. So I was doing somewhat the same thing with this. So I ended up cutting out everything kind of as a batch, so that like all of my focus was on cutting out the base fabric for it, because that takes time, effort, and like it kept me focused on one task. And since I was doing most of this at night after work, doing things there I don't have to do a bunch of thinking for it helps so much. So yeah, I went through and did all of the cutting, batched that all together, and then went through and basically did all of the straight pieces, because those were easy enough to do, quick thinking things. Did all of the straight pieces for them, and then once I'd done all the straight pieces, I then went around and did all of the edge pieces for everything. And tried to, well, I did try to alternate a lot of the different like edges. You can see that some of the edges repeat. I mean, I have limited availability on some of this stuff. So what I had and I used. But yeah, I was quite happy with how much, as you can see, I did a lot. And there's still more. Oh no. So, yep, I did that. I was very proud of myself for managing to finish as much as I did, because that, like, once I finished all of the sewing of it, I then went through and like checked and made sure that like clipping all the threads for all of these guys, kind of putting in some of the ends together. Yeah, slightly time consuming. It took me a good solid, basically 2 weeks to get all that stuff done. So yeah, and I did them in different sizes. So I have big ones, I have small ones. Don't really have medium-sized ones. Big, small, different colors, right? So I have some, obviously you've seen I had some black, they're charcoal grayish. I think more realistically with black trimmings, navy blue ones. I have white ones here. I have some off-white ones. Let's see. Off-white, white. I'm continuing to pull them out because I still have more. You can see all of the pretty things that I have made. See? Pretty. And that I have now taken pictures of. So that's kind of like the next hurdle for me, is like taking pictures and then putting them up on Etsy so that people can actually hopefully buy them. And then once they're all up and ready, see more. I think these are the last two. Yes, these are the last two. Now that I have them finished, they need to get put up on Etsy. I took pictures today. That was one of my projects for today, was to take pictures. Do this, take pictures, because we were supposed to get some sun out today. And I can do it nicely with some natural light around here. Yeah, so that was all of my sewing completed stuff that I have worked on this month. So I've finished all of those. There's a lot of them. So that gets me, I think, through all of the sewing things that I've done this month. As you could tell, there was a lot more sewing that got done this month than there was knitting that got done this month. But so that's completed stuff. I talked a bit about the works in progress thing. I'm not gonna pull it out. Like, nothing has really gotten done with it except for I added marks. So I went through and added all the chalk marks that were on the pattern pieces and made all of the notches so that I can put things properly together. So yeah, I will be sewing hopefully that mock-up up this month. I've started some things kind of yesterday and today in terms of sewing quilting stuff. Started getting some pieces cut out for that, but I'm not going to show you. Yeah. I don't think that's interesting enough material. If you would like to see as I do things, give me a shout out. Tell me what you want to see. Kind of like works in progress, kind of things that you might want to see me working on, I guess, instead of just kind of a dump. I've been working on this. Because some of it is like, okay, you've told me this, but there's not really anything to go with it because it's kind of a thought thingy instead of a actual practical, I have things for you to see. So yeah, if you have ideas, feel free to pop them in the chats below or contact me in person if you know me and happen to watch this. Because some people do. A couple of you actually know me in real life. If you know me in real life, feel free to say anything that you want to, I guess, about this. That'll be fun. So that gets me through sewing. So the last thing that I have that I worked on this month for a little bit, tiny little bit, is one of my cross stitch projects. So yeah, I do all the things. And depending on my time, etc., I do different things at different times. And the weather. The weather plays a large role in this. So I have my cross stitch project here that I worked a little bit on. Mostly I worked on, what did I work on? This stuff up here. I was working on that for this month. I'd finished pretty much all of this, all the colored stuff, all the easily colored stuff there that I had done already a couple of years ago. So I'm trying to get through some of my older projects. I do definitely need to do some stuff with this because I don't know if you can tell, but there's definitely some stains on the background on this. I might need to get one of those like cleaning pens, Ox bleach pens. You can tell how often I take out stains. Yeah, get one of those and try and get some of those stains off. If anyone has any suggestions for how to get some stains off of this Ada cloth, I would be more than happy to take suggestions for that because I have noticed that I have a good bit of staining on the actual background cloth, and although the cross stitch will it should cover all of that. Yeah, there's the pattern. So the cross stitch will definitely cover all of that. It's just, it kind of bugs me a little bit, to be perfectly frank. It bugs me. So I would like to at least get the worst of it colored off. And then I've got to figure out what to do with the cross stitch stuff, because I don't necessarily really want to frame and put more things on the wall because I have a bunch of stuff on my walls already. So finding an alternate piece for cross stitch. So I've seen some things that might work, but we'll have to see. We will have to see. Future project plans once I have completed objects. So yeah, that covers everything that I have worked on this month. Yes, everything that I think I have worked on this month I have shown you. I hope you enjoyed my long rambling talk about my different projects and different plans. I do have some ideas to work on in the future for like designing my own shirts and tanks. I'm doing my own style on it, so we'll have to see how that goes. That could be lots of fun. Yep, so that'll probably be a future project, show up sometime. I think I have four tops kind of that I've like sketched out rough ideas of what I think would look good. We'll have to see if I can actually translate my drawings into real life. So that's for a future plan. Immediate future plan, I'm working on a quilt. I'm going to be working on a quilt. I have some of the pieces cut out. I have lots of fabric. I need to use fabric up. That's part of this. Like, I need to use some of the fabric, a lot of the fabric that I've bought up in a productive manner. Quilts are a great way to do that. So I am going to be quilting this month. Maybe making some more mantillas in like actual black colors, because right now I have a bunch of whites, off-whites, and blues. I only have a couple of blacks left. My stole, a couple of watercolors to work on this month. I have an alternate side project that is not, it's craft adjacent. So I have something really old that I bought that's in somewhat rough condition, and I'm working on trying to figure out like how to basically restore it. Working on restoring it myself. So we'll see how that goes. Like, it could be a very gorgeous piece as long as I don't mess it up. So I am working on that. It's craft adjacent. I don't want to say more about it until I've actually seen if I can figure out how to do this. Because if I can't do it, like, what's the point in building up all of this if I don't finish it? So yes, I am working on a side project. Hopefully that'll get done. I do have people visiting me at the end of the month, so my craft room / my entire apartment is going to need to get cleaned, etc. Not have everything lying about like my usual progress. I guess that's another thing. If people would like me to give a tour at some point of all my craft stuff, I will probably do that. But be prepared, because I've seen people like, they're like, oh look, all of these things are gorgeous, and like they have their own spot and they're all organized by everything, and I can find everything, and my spaces don't look or work like that. So if you want a tour, I will give you a tour, but it will be very much a like, so I have some stuff here, and I have that there, and I know I have this put somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly where I put it. And this is the general spot where I put some of these things, but they didn't all fit. So some of them are here and some of them are far over there. Yeah. As you can tell, I am slightly disorganized. Not the best thing to be in life. So yes, I rambled. Now that I have finished rambling, taking different side trips, if you enjoyed this, thanks. Feel free to like or subscribe. If you subscribe, you get to know when I throw up another rambling video. If you have any comments or things that you want to see, or know things or can answer any of the questions that I've thrown into the video World Wide Web space, feel free to comment below. Give me some ideas. Other than that, have fun, have a great week, month. I hopefully will be back in a month to update on where my crafting stuff is, and before the month is over, hopefully I'll have those instructional videos up. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, feel free to like, subscribe. If you would like to actually see some things around my area, let me know. I can take people on some road trips, I guess. Field trips. We'll do some field trips on the channel if people are interested in seeing kind of some of the things around where I am. So that gets all of my stuff done. Have a great weekend. And rest of the month. Bye.